to start drawing faces now. And the best way to draw a face well is actually to think about the understructure of a face, which is drawing skulls. So this is a thing that we kind of just talk about in Drawing and Painting 1, but we don't actually do in Drawing and Painting 1. And so I'm going to do this with you guys now because this is a really good advanced technique that we're going to learn. So now that we've talked about sort of in class where you're at with your faces, we did a sort of warm-up exercise. We're going to jump into this, and this is going to be your assignment for the next few days, which is practicing the fact that the face itself has structure underneath the face that is the skull itself. The only reason why certain areas of the face are shaded and not shaded and highlights are added and this or that is because of our bones. The bones on our face and our skull push parts of our cheeks out. They indent parts of our nose. They make our forehead and our eye sockets recessed. Like there are different parts of the skull that are super important to understand. And because of that, what we're going to do here to like sort of understand the structure of the skull itself that we're going to learn today in class. So today's only goal is not going to be to draw the skull. We're going to get there, but today's activity is about learning the constructions of a skull, because the constructions of a skull are the same as the constructions of a face. So how we get this started is the same way we're going to get faces started. And we did touch on that in Drawing and Painting 1. So this is kind of a review of that. But what we literally want to do right now is just make sure that we understand constructions of a front and side face, and everything else that we do, 3/4 or whatever ends up happening in between, is just a combination of those things. So we're going to go kind of slow here. Okay, so the very first thing you do is you don't actually make a circle first. What you do is you make a line. And then you find the center of that line. And you remember in Drawing and Painting 1, I taught you guys this thing you can do where you can take your pencil and kind of do this thing with it, right? So I have my center already kind of marked out with this line right here. And then you're going to make an equal distant line that goes this way as well, okay? I'm gonna be drawing really dark here, which is hard for me because I have many, many years of practicing to draw lightly and sketchy. So I'm having to go back over to kind of make these lines nice and dark so you guys can see them. And in fact, I'm probably gonna zoom in just a little bit here too so you see what's happening right here. Okay, so that's step 1. Okay, so step 2 is you're actually going to, with this now, you're gonna make a circle, because I taught this and when we started learning these things in Drawing and Painting 1 as well. But the best way to make a circle is, now that we've made these cross lines here, if you almost kind of just like connect the dots with them, then you can do this sort of sketchy, quick sort of circle around that space. Does not have to be perfect. Super important. Does not have to be perfect. You're going to erase most of this anyways. Remember, these are construction lines. They're just to tell us where things go on a face. Okay, what you do next is you make this line right here. What you make this line actually just a little bit above where the bottom of this meets. So like here's the bottom of that circle right here. You actually do just go up just a little bit, not a lot, just boop up, and then you make that line right there, okay? Then what ends up happening is what you've just done is you've made some spaces here. This line right here, right? This line right here and this line right here have just made a 1 and a 2 thirds. So we need to make our 3 thirds. We take our pencil and we make the same exact down here as well. And then that's step 2. Step 3, we actually just take this line and we extend it down. And now we have a center line all the way through the face. This is the middle of the face, perfectly centered. And the reason why we have this and we have these thirds is there are things that go into these thirds. This entire top portion of thirds, what do you think goes in it? Forehead. Here. Eyes. Nose. And here. Mouth. Those are the things that go into these spaces right here. So by doing this first, you end up with a sort of a proportion here that you can draw inside of so that you can make the face the right way. Because the next step that you do is you actually take the side of this face right here and you bring it down and attach it here. This inside part of the circle actually kind of goes away. And what you have is that this becomes your jawline. Because the only thing that moves on our face is our mouth. So we keep these things separate when we draw them initially, because if you're drawing someone with an open mouth, this line might actually go down a little bit because then our chin moves, right? It's the only part of the face that can move, give or take more or less, right? I'm sure you guys would be like, my nose moves or whatever, right? Because we're talking about cartilage or bone. It's the only part of bone that moves. Because then now what we know, we have a couple other things here. We know that my eyes, this is our brow. These are my eyes. That's my nose. And that's my mouth. And simple, super cartoon face, but put in the right spot can sometimes even look better than a well-drawn face with bad proportions. Now we're doing this guy here. It's the same exact thing, actually. So if I make actually a line here, and then I do this, and I make a line that's equal, but notice how I've kind of offset it a little bit here, right? So I've done this, that, and then I extend this line. That's step one. Step two is I make this sort of egg shape that connects these things here. Then I bring this line down. I do that same thing, right? Where I make this other line that goes across here and this other line that goes across here, right? So that's the next step. What we've done is we've made those thirds again. Here's my 1, here's my 2. So if I take my pencil and I go down like this and make that line, I basically told myself where the bottom of my chin is going to go. And an important thing about drawing this face from the side is that the bottom of our chin usually actually kind of like jets back or in a little bit, and then it goes up and attaches to the back of the face like that. And this is how you create the proportions from the side of the face, because now we have the same exact thing. We have our forehead here. We have our brow right here. We have where our eye ends up right here. We have where our nose jets out right there. And then we have where our mouth ends up right there. Same exact places they were right here, just turned to the side. Okay, so your goal is here, is in your sketchbooks, I should see 2 properly drawn constructions. That's it. You can do this more if you need to practice, but right now what we're literally just doing is this simple line construction. But what I just want to see from now into next class is that you can do this simple line construction of how you draw a skull exactly. We're going to do a more complicated line construction, we get to the actual face drawing. We're using these to set up skulls. We're going to do some skull drawing, and then we're going to move into face drawing. So that is all for this one. You can take this step by step, pause it. I even try to take a little bit of a pause between things on purpose so you have time to pause it and do the steps by the step.